Welcome back to Pulse of Earth, bringing you the latest news from around the world. Beneath the calm waters of the South China Sea, a fierce contest for power and resources is underway. Trillions in trade pass through these lanes, and beneath the seabed lie oil and gas reserves that could fuel nations for decades. China's sweeping claims clash with international law and the rights of its smaller neighbors, especially the Philippines. Filipino fishermen are pushed out, and international rulings in Manila's favor are ignored by Beijing. The Philippines faces a daunting challenge: how to defend its sovereignty without being overwhelmed. In 2025, the stakes rise dramatically as the United States forges a sweeping new pact with the Philippines. This isn't just another military exercise, it's a strategic realignment, binding American and Filipino interests in energy, commerce, and defense. The agreement redraws alliances and sends a clear message to Beijing. The U.S. is now an active partner in defending Philippine sovereignty. The pact brings new opportunities for growth and security, but also new risks, placing the Philippines at the center of a potential flashpoint. The South China Sea is no longer a distant problem, it's now a stage where Asia's future will be decided. The world is watching as the balance of power shifts in real time. The U.S.-Philippines Pact is a web of economic and defense agreements designed to counter China's regional dominance. The Philippines offers tax breaks to U.S. firms, aiming to become a new manufacturing and tech hub, while the U.S. imposes a 19% tariff on Filipino goods. In return, the Philippines drops tariffs on select U.S. products and commits to importing American agriculture. On security, the pact revives the Mutual Defense Treaty and grants the Philippines access to U.S. intelligence and advanced weaponry, backed by $500 million in military aid. U.S. forces gain expanded access to Philippine bases, especially near the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait. A new Joint Coordination Center in Manila signals that any attack on Philippine forces could trigger a direct U.S. response. The 2025 pact fuses energy, security, and trade into a single strategic chord. U.S. firms get fast-tracked access to explore Philippine oil and gas reserves, many in contested waters claimed by China. American survey ships, escorted by Philippine Navy, now patrol these disputed zones, asserting both commercial and sovereign rights. This joint presence deters interference and signals Allied resolve. The economic side, new factories, jobs, and investment, justifies the security umbrella. The Philippines becomes a U.S.-aligned supply chain hub, while Washington gains a stake in Manila's stability. The deal's trade-offs, tariffs and agricultural imports, are the price for long-term security and prosperity. But the integration is so tight that a crisis in one area, like a naval standoff, could instantly escalate across all fronts. The pact is a self-reinforcing loop, pulling the Philippines deeper into the U.S. orbit and pushing back against China. But it also means any spark could ignite a much larger conflict. For Washington, the pact is a strategic win, securing energy, shifting supply chains, and building a resilient Indo-Pacific alliance. It's a direct response to China's growing influence and a move to safeguard U.S. interests for the future. For Manila, it's about survival and opportunity, defending sovereignty, modernizing the military, and attracting investment. President Marcos Jr. calls it a lifeline for the nation's security and economy. But for Beijing, the pact is a provocation, an act of containment and a direct challenge to its regional ambitions. Chinese officials warn that U.S. military involvement will only heighten tensions and risk conflict. The joint patrols and energy exploration are seen as infringements on China's historical territory. Each capital views the pact through its own lens: partnership for Washington, lifeline for Manila, encirclement for Beijing. These clashing perspectives deepen the region's fault lines. What one side sees as stability, the other sees as provocation. The agreement, meant to deter conflict, has also set the stage for a more confrontational era. The stakes, and the risks, have never been higher. Beyond the headlines, the pact is reshaping daily life for millions. In Manila's tech sector, optimism surges. Engineers like Maria Reyes see new opportunities as global firms eye the Philippines. Construction workers anticipate steady jobs from new factories and infrastructure. But in rural Luzon, farmers like Roberto de la Cruz fear being undercut by cheap, tariff-free U.S. agricultural imports. This deal might help the cities, but it could kill the countryside, he says. In coastal villages, fishermen hope joint patrols will let them work safely, but worry about being caught in the crossfire if tensions escalate. It's good to have protection, but what if shooting starts? We live here, says one fisherman's wife. In the US, business owners importing Filipino goods face steep tariffs, while some factory workers see hope in new supply chains. The pact creates winners and losers on both sides of the Pacific. For some, it's a dream realized; for others, a threat to their way of life. The agreement is not just a policy, it's thousands of personal stories, hopes and fears. The impact is uneven, and the future uncertain. The human cost and benefit are still unfolding. The 2025 Pact creates clear winners and losers. U.S. energy and defense sectors gain privileged access to Philippine resources and lucrative contracts. In the Philippines, urban elites and the military benefit from investment, jobs, and modern equipment. The political leadership touts newfound strength and global standing. But Filipino exporters face steep U.S. tariffs, threatening jobs and industries. Small farmers are squeezed by cheap American imports, deepening the urban-rural divide. China, meanwhile, sees its regional ambitions challenged and its influence checked. Yet, the pact could also fuel Chinese nationalism and prompt a more assertive foreign policy. If economic pain in the Philippines grows, it could spark unrest, ironically, serving Beijing's interests. The deal's benefits and burdens are unevenly distributed, both within and between nations. The true cost may only become clear over time. The new security pact has raised the stakes in the South China Sea. Joint U.S.-Philippine patrols are now routine, but every encounter with Chinese forces is fraught with risk. A single misstep, a warning shot, a collision, could spiral into a major crisis. The Joint Coordination Center in Manila streamlines response but also shortens the fuse for escalation. China must now assume any clash with the Philippines could draw in the U.S. directly. Seabed exploration by U.S. survey ships, escorted by the Philippine Navy, is a flashpoint that could provoke a forceful Chinese response. With more ships and aircraft in close quarters, the risk of accidental conflict is dangerously high. The measures meant to deter war have made the region more volatile than ever. The 2025 Pact has brought the Indo-Pacific to a crossroads. One path leads to stability. U.S.-Philippine cooperation deters China, spurs investment, and transforms the Philippines into a high-tech hub. The alliance could become a model for peace and shared prosperity. But the other path is darker. China escalates, testing the alliance with provocations that could ignite a wider conflict. Economic pain and political unrest in the Philippines could weaken the partnership, making it vulnerable to Chinese pressure. The ultimate question: will this bold gamble bring peace, or spark a new era of conflict? The answer depends on the wisdom and restraint of leaders in Washington, Manila, and Beijing. The lines are drawn, but the outcome is uncertain. The Philippines has gained a shield, but now stands at the epicenter of a global power struggle. As the world watches, the next move could shape the future of Asia and beyond.